Yo, 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 it's story time with Big Frank. Alright, love thy neighbor, love thy neighbor, love thy God. Alright, look, it's story time, man. This is about schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is when you think, you hear, or see hallucinations that nobody sees, that aren't real. So you gotta remember, if you have schizophrenia, that the only one that can be inside your brain is God. And God wouldn't try to talk to you or communicate in ways that humans communicate, through talking and calling each other. So you got to understand that God communicates through the Bible. God talks through the Bible, not in your ears or in your mind. So you got to remember that the only one that can be inside your mind is God, and God is quiet. Having schizophrenia, when I used to think I heard voices, I thought I heard voices, but as I grown older, I understood that I didn't hear anything. I just, in my mind, it was real to me. But like I said, I learned that the only one that could be in your mind is God, and God is quiet. God wouldn't speak to you like we would speak through the phone or through visual or audio. But I've been on schizophrenia medicines for like 10 years now. And I haven't missed a dose in 10 years now, so I'm feeling really good. Sometimes I hear God, like when I'm dozing off and I'm sleeping, and like I'm in that transition stage from where I'm half awake and I'm dozing off and I'm about to go to sleep, and all of a sudden I'll hear a comforting word, or I'll see something like an angel as I'm drifting off. So God does communicate with you in sort of ways. So you gotta listen for God. You gotta listen for God, but I see a schizophrenia therapist, I see my doctor, I see my nurse, and I don't know, I was raised by a single mom, so I had a lot of love in my childhood, and I had my dad's love, and I had my family's love and support. And during my schizophrenia, when I was 19, when my schizophrenia was at its worst, I thought I was hearing voices. But then as I got older, I understood that nobody could be inside your mind or except for God, and God is quiet. Although God talks to you, that's the thing. What some people can't miss out on here is God will communicate with you. Like I said, when I go to sleep sometimes and I'm in that transition stage from about to go to bed to still up a little bit, and I'm hearing background music but I'm dozing off, I'll have a visual and an audio hallucination of God, but it's a nice, I think the reason I got schizophrenia is because when I was 19, I broke a lot of laws, got into a lot of fights, did a lot of people dirty. And I think schizophrenia was God's way of telling me, hey, straighten up your life. See a mental health doctor, because I had behavior issues. But I started using drugs and alcohol when I was an adolescent, and like I said, I was breaking laws, and I was living a wild life, and I was getting into fights, and I was using drugs and alcohol when I was an adolescent. And I think that when I got schizophrenia, that's basically when all my friends were like, all right, look, dude's a jerk. I'm just going to leave him alone. We all separated after high school. And ever since high school, I've been seeing a mental health physician for schizophrenia. So if you have somebody with schizophrenia, they need a lot of love, from the mother, the father, the uncle, their nephew, they need a lot of love and support from their family. You gotta take your mental health seriously. You gotta want help. You gotta understand that, okay, these pills will help me cope during the day. These pills, if I'm on it for a long time, taking my meds every day on schedule, then eventually it will help me cope during the day. Other than sitting here stressing, other than sitting here having another episode, I'm on my medicines, I'm reading the Bible a lot, I'm listening to a lot of Bible apps, and, I've been staying away from drugs and alcohol. That's another thing. If you got schizophrenia, then it's probably because of drugs and alcohol and nicotine. So you got to go to rehab. You got to get your life cleaned and make sure drugs and alcohol ain't causing schizophrenia. Make sure you're on your medicines. Make sure you have a lot of love and support. Make sure you know that there's people out there that care about you. If you need help, pick up a phone and call them. There's a lot of support groups out there. You hear me? But the only one that can be in your mind is God, and God doesn't communicate through talking. God communicates through the Bible. So yeah, God's talking to you, and to hear God, you got to read your Bible. That's the only way to hear God, is reading your Bible. Okay, have a lot of love and support. Go to your mental health doctor. Go to your doctors on schedule every month, every 3 months. Go to your doctors on schedule. Make sure you're on your medicines. Make sure you're not using drugs and alcohol. If you are using drugs and alcohol, use responsibly. But yeah, man, I've been seeing a mental health doctor for schizophrenia for about 10 years now, and I tell her, my criminal background, because that's my criminal background has to do with why I got schizophrenia in the first place. Because I wasn't born with schizophrenia. I didn't get schizophrenia until I was an adolescent. That's when I was breaking laws, getting into fights, using drugs and alcohol, and I was off my medicines. So that's what I think caused my schizophrenia. And then as I got older, gradually I settled down. I became more of a family man. I stopped drinking heavy when I figured out that it was hurting my relationships with my family members and my loved ones. So I gave it up, and one day I was sitting here in the kitchen, and I was like, man, maybe my doctor can give me medicines that will actually help me. Maybe these medicines will actually help me if I'm taking my dosage correctly and I'm on it for a long period of time. Maybe it will help me. And it has. So I don't have schizophrenia no more. Maybe it's because I'm on my medicines. Maybe it's because I'm a little bit smarter now. I understand that, normal people don't hear voices. And if people around you don't hear them, then they're not real. So, but there's severe schizophrenia, and if you have a loved one, make sure you're on the phone with NAMI and all them mental health groups, because that's my mom and my dad were involved with NAMI. When I didn't want the help, they got involved because I was acting crazy and they were worried about me. So they wanted to get involved with NAMI in the mental health group, and they wanted to help. But then one day I was in the kitchen and I decided that I want to help. I was like, maybe this medicine's gonna help me. And I stay away from drugs and alcohol. But yeah, man, that's schizophrenia for you, man. Schizophrenia is sad. People need a lot of love, a lot of support. They got to go to the doctors. Stay away from drugs and alcohol. Remember that God's the only one that can be inside your brain, and God's quiet. God doesn't communicate through talking. He communicates through you reading the Bible. All right, I love you. You're loved. Everyone is loved. Everyone is special. Everyone is awesome.